Great day, attractive thinkers and visual encouragers around the world. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at the Attractive Thinker Guru. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Welcome, my co-host, Tichet Bradshaw.
Happy Mindset Monday. We made it. We made it through another week. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
Awesome. Tishet, it is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. Attractive thinkers, I want to encourage you to have your Attractive Thinker notebook handy so that you can take notes and capture these gems for today's talk that we're going to be, the topic that we're going to be talking about today. Remember, Attractive Thinker, these gems are essential. You're going to need these throughout your week, throughout your day, throughout the month, throughout the year, and for years to come. They never grow old. Tishet, I can't tell you how many times I've taken notes on a topic or a speaker that I heard or something that came up out of my spirit, and I watched it or read it or listened to it again because I record audio on my phone. If it's something even from myself, sometimes I'm exercising and inspiration comes up or motivation, revelation, answers at different times throughout the day for all of us. Mine is a lot of times it happens when I'm exercising. So I'll turn my recorder on and I'll start recording what spirit is saying through me. And I looked at something recently, Tishet, that I wrote in 2010. In 2010, and it gave me insight. It actually helped me in 2023.
Wow.
So I just looked at it this morning, actually during my mental breakfast, because attractive thinkers, before we start our day, we have to have our mental breakfast. We have to sit with ourselves. And that's why I want to encourage you to make sure you get your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon because the mental breakfast, you might say, well, Dr. Toni, what is a mental breakfast? The mental breakfast is spelled out all in the book, and I give you details on how to have an attractive thinker mental breakfast because it is essential to starting your day. So make sure you get your copy. But I was setting aside some time this morning just to have that mental breakfast, keeping me mentally strong, mentally clear, mentally focused, mentally alert. Keeping your goals in the forefront of your mind, assessing who you are, reminding yourself of what you've learned. You don't want to forget those lessons because if you forget them, life shows up and then you have to learn those lessons again. So we want to remind ourselves of the lessons that we've learned so we can make choices based on the lessons we've learned going forward instead of repeating. A lot of times to shed people see they'll sit in a counseling session or they'll sit with a therapist or they'll sit with a coach or even a friend and they'll say, I wonder why I keep attracting this kind of experience into my life. I wonder why I keep attracting this kind of person or this kind of energy or why I keep feeling, this kind of way all the time in this particular setting. I wonder why I keep getting triggered in this particular area, the same area. No matter what I do, I keep getting triggered in the same area. And when you journal in your attractive thinker notebook, when you take notes in your life, because I always say when you hear these experiences and you take notes and you get inspiration and you write it down, you're not just taking notes, you're leaving notes. Because somebody's going to read your inspiration, your revelation. The things that inspire you will inspire others. So you're not just taking notes, you're leaving notes. And I used to tell my clients, when you're taking notes, make sure they're legible. Because so many times the inspiration becomes so fast and I'm writing things down, and when I go back to read it, it's hard sometimes to read my own handwriting. So when you're taking notes, make sure they're legible because you're going to need them. Somebody else may not experience them, but you 5, 10, maybe even 20 or 30 years from now can go back and read your own notes and learn a lot about yourself, because that's a big gap. You get to see where you were and where you are and what transpired to get you from this thought to that thought, or this being, this version of yourself to another version of yourself. And it's called the growth experience. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, the growth experience. Now, why are we talking about this? Because so many times, in coaching clients, down through the years, having conversations with family and friends, so many times people regret their past or they regret what they had to go through to get to where they are. And Tachet, you named it so beautifully. You called it the growth experience. You said things like if if anything from your past had changed, it would change who you are. Or instead of and a lot of times you wouldn't even look at the past, you wouldn't even address it. You would say, but look at who you became. But look at who you are now. And that shifts the focus a lot. It shifts the view, the perspective, because now you're no longer looking at what you went through. Because when we look at that, it comes with a lot of emotions and painful, memories and things like that. And it can be overwhelming and consuming. But when you shift our focus to shed to, well, look at who you became, then that weight lifts. The
Yes.
heaviness lifts. You don't feel so shamed and burdened down with regret, thinking that or wishing that you had thought a different thought or made a better decision or been a better person. So what we're saying today is Tashet's going to support us in helping us to understand that all of that had a purpose in you being the wonderful, fantastic, and amazing person that you are today, the productive person that you are today. And, before I turn it over to you, Tashet, I want to remind the Attractive Thinker audience, you may have heard it before, but um, the beautiful Iyanla said it one time. I heard her, I think it was some type of story or documentary on her life. And she said, I went into the projects as Rhonda and I came out as Iyanla. And that's a different way of looking at your experience. When you think about when you become who you are becoming and you turn around and look back, or a thought or a memory tries to trigger you, or somebody says something, or you see someone and it triggers regret and shame or pain. That's a different perspective when you look at it like what Miss Iyanla said. I went in as Rhonda, I came out as Iyanla. And Tashet, we talked about that, and you said her name is great. She came out and made her name great. That experience made her name great. Tashet, talk to us today about the growth experience.
Yes, absolutely. I want to remind everybody that when we think of our past, um, versus our present. Now, if you don't like your present at the moment, I want you to keep going because your present will eventually get better and better. The more you seek, the more you study yourself, the more you love yourself, the more you allow yourself to be to accept what has happened and be
Mm,
receptive of what's to come, the more you will see for yourself how great life can be. But like you said, Ayala, when she came out a different person, I said, well, her name is great. That allows her experience to have power. So no longer do we look at what happened to Rhonda in a way that is regretful. We look at what happened to get to Ayala,
mm,
right? And so that's how we have to do with us because we are all great. We all have the opportunity to walk in power, to live in our purpose and things like that. And I always say when it comes to your past, you can't take away the process without taking away the reward, and the reward is too great, right?
mhm, mhm,
I want every person watching this to think for a second, what does life look like when you're so grateful for your pain? When you're grateful for every time you failed, for every tear you cried, when you're grateful for every success, when you're grateful for every growth, can you imagine being thankful for that one day you thought you couldn't make it past? And so when you get to a point in life where you have accepted what has happened and you allowed yourself to grow, and you get to a point in life where you like and love who, where, and why you are, there is a point where you do look at your past and be grateful because you know out of all of that trial and tribulation came power. came purpose. You
Mm-hmm.
know, out of all of that pain that you went through, it produced something great in you that you don't want to give up. It produced a strength in you that you wouldn't want to take back. It produced a progress in you that you don't want to negate. Like
Mm-hmm.
you you desire to have a power and a purpose. But imagine going through all of that, getting to a place where you are operating out of your power and purpose and feeling alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you start operating out of your power and purpose, feeling alive is a part of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I know sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes things don't always go the way you think they should, and it wasn't easy. And why did it have to come that way? The thing is all of us have a process in life. Everybody has a process in life. We have a lifespan. We have a process um, in that lifespan. But we can't regret what has taken place in our past, because what has taken place in our past has brought you to the moment where you get to meet the real you, where you get to know who you really are, what you really are, and why you really are, right? And the reason why I say that, because a lot of us don't know there's a what or a why. We just think we female walking through life, having all kinds of situations happen, not realizing you're having a full human experience. When
Mm-hmm.
you say situation versus experience, that's two different tones to it, right? Um, when you say having an experience, you think of the overall experience, the inner experience and the outer experience, versus the situation tend to be more of an outer experience. So when you're looking at all your situations from previous relationship, previous jobs, all your past, you look at the situation and you're looking at the situation at face value. You're not really getting the whole picture. There was something in the last job you had that you hated. There was something in it that produced strength in you. There was something in the last relationship that exposed you to your own power. There was something in that last home that you hated so much that produced something where you're able to walk in your purpose and your power, and to live a life where you feel like you um got to know yourself, got to love yourself, and now you feel alive because you're walking in who you are, really are, not what they said you are, because that's two different things. Not who you even thought you were. That's two different things. Who you really are. So we always say on here that pain produces power, right? I think we have an episode where we talked about pain producing power,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of the hardship that we had to go through, we understand that it produced greatness, right? Now the thing is, if you don't see the greatness in yourself right now, that's the hardest work you're going to have to do. That's the work that matters. The hardest work is the inner work that you have to do. And listen, when you're doing the inner work, at first it's going to feel like you're not doing enough, right? Because you're so used to grinding and going and doing and setting this up and putting that together, and you're used to seeing results, right away. But when you start to do the inner work, you don't always see the results right away. Because sometimes it's subtle changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and then you feel like you're just sitting there. You're not sitting there. You're not just sitting there. You're assessing. You're looking at why, and who you are. You are getting to know who you are. And then what's the point of walking out here making decisions without getting to know who you are first?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get to know who you are so you can even understand that the next decision that you're making is even something that's meant for you. So you're not spending 9 years in a job that you don't even really like. You're spending 9 years in a job that doesn't feed your mind, that doesn't cause you to have growth. See, when we go through certain situations, these things are not coincidental. When you go through situations, these situations are not coincidental. Everything happens for the purpose of growth and evolution, right? We took on these human bodies to have an experience and to evolve, right? For the greater good as well, right? When you think about that experience, this is a vehicle that we use to help us move forward, right? It's not the all and end all, right? Everything does not begin and end with this physical body. There's more to us than this physical body because we're energy, right? And so when we take on these physical bodies, we're taking them on to experience. Why would I take on this physical body and then go to a job every day where I'm not experiencing greatness, where I'm miserable every single day? What kind of experience is that sending? Now, here's the thing. If you're going to a job you hate every day, don't regret that. I don't regret any of my old jobs. I don't regret anything that I've done because I know what it produced.
Mm-hmm.
And now, but the thing that you can do now is understand that this moment right now is what matters. This moment, you are granted a new opportunity to be who you have always desired to be. You are granted a new beginning where you can take this moment and produce something greater tomorrow, something greater today. But the point is for us to feel alive. Why would we want to keep going in a direction where we don't feel alive? Being in relationships where we don't feel alive, any kind of relationship, business relationship, romantic relationship, family relationship. Why would I want to keep having conversations that does not make me feel alive? And the way to feel alive is to know that there's some stimulation. You have to have some sort of mental stimulation in order for your mind to feel like it has done something. If you tend to do the same thing every day, like routine, mundane living that we always talk about, you don't feel alive because those things you're doing without even thinking about it. So at what point do you feel like, I'm great to be here. I'm glad to be here. I feel alive. This is a great day to be alive. When at what point do you feel like you're doing it if you do the same thing every day? You get up, you get yourself ready, you go out in the world, you give the world all your best, you come home, you eat, you try to recover from giving the world all your best, and then at the end of the day, you try to figure out how to take your mind off the world, and you forget to give yourself anything to help you, to give you strength for the next day. You go to sleep, and then you do it again. And then you go to sleep, you do it again. You wake up, work, go home, go to sleep, wake up, work, go home, go to sleep, wake up, church, go home, go to sleep. You do all of that every single day, and you never get time to understand who you are as a person. And that's the most important work we can do, is to understand who we are, because how do you understand out of your passion if you don't know who you are and what you're passionate about? So that you can work, so that work can become play. And Dr. Toni, there does come a time in our lives when we are operating out our power and our purpose that allows us to shift from having to work to being to work being play. Like for instance, when I'm here every day, I do a lot of work, sawing and cutting and stuff like that. Even trading, it's a lot of work in trading, but it feels like fun. So earlier you said, the inner work is never done. But when you look at it from a place of power and purpose, you say the fun never ends because you feel alive while doing that work, because it's what you're passionate about. Nobody has to beg you and ask you to do it. You would have did it for free, but here you go now doing it, and you're actually receiving the fruit and being paid from it.
Mm-hmm.
Notice I said and being paid from it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not the only fruit you should be receiving. Money is not the only fruit you need. There should be more coming out of that, because at the end of the day, if all you have money, what else do you have?
Mm.
You can go and buy anything, but you can't buy power. You
Mm.
can't go buy power, purpose. You
Mm-hmm.
can go buy a house to cry in. But when
Mm.
you feel alive, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't give that stuff away. You
Mm.
don't want to give it away. So if I had to go through all of that to get to this point, I'll take it. Because guess what? I did the best that I could, with what I knew at the time, with where my heart was at the time, right? I did the best that I could. And that's what some of you have to remember. You
Mm-hmm.
made the best decision you could make at that time with what you knew and what your heart was and what you believed. You did the best that you could. There are no mistakes. In the end, you birthed you, right? And so if you did the best you could, given the situation, wouldn't it be safe to say that if you went back and you didn't know now what you know then, you would have made the same decision? So don't regret the person who made that decision, because the person who made that decision did the best that they could.
Yes.
So this is why I said last week, you have to forgive yesterday. You have to forgive yourself in yesterday. You have to forgive the situation, and you have to allow yourself a newness of life in this moment. And so we're giving you a wake up call and saying, in this moment, life begins now.
Mm.
What are you going to do from this moment on? How are you going to experience life from this moment on? How will you enjoy this human experience? How will you take your hands and your feet and the ability to walk, the smell and taste and touch and hear and enjoy feeling alive? Even in eating, Dr. Toni, I learned how to feel alive in eating. When you are eating, right? A lot of people, they just shove it in their mouth, chew a couple times, swallow it real quick. Their mouth don't even get a chance to experience it. It just goes straight to their stomach, right? They say the last bite, the first bite and the last bite is always the best. You know why? Because when you took the first bite, you breathed to see if it was right. When you took the last bite, you breathed because there was no more bites to come after that. So to me, the common denominator was breathe. So I take bites and I breathe and I let it go all through my nose and I get all I can out of it and then I swallow it. Because why would I eat and not allow my mouth the ability to have a sense of taste and not taste it? You down it so much it tastes like nothing. You just get the aftertaste. You know what I mean? But what
Mm-hmm.
did it taste like? So you gotta allow your body to enjoy
Mm-hmm.
the experience that we call life. Back to you, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Toni.
Tishette, you said so much, so many incredible things, and attractive thinkers, visual encouragers around the world, wherever you are around the globe, I want you to really tune in right now because I'm going to reiterate some things that stood out to me while you were sharing, Tishette, and I want attractive thinkers and visual encouragers to ponder these points because they're really good points. You know, while you were talking, I was thinking about the greats because today we're talking about the growth experience. The people that we admire, I mean, all down throughout history, dead or alive, they had traumatic experiences on their journey to, and I love what you said, giving birth to you. That's what this growth experience is about, us giving birth to ourselves. A greater version of ourselves is emerging. It's on the horizon. It's coming forth in the process of that we have to go, these processes of challenges or the process of heartbreak, the process of a defining moment, the process of disappointment. Even in disappointment, there's something that's growing in us, that's being strengthened in us. And you might say, well, Dr. Toni, how do you know that that's true? Me personally, I can say that that is true because every time I went down, I came back stronger. I didn't intend to come back stronger. Sometimes I didn't even intend to come back. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
intend to get back in the game. I didn't intend to pursue anymore the goal. I didn't intend to be the person that I was. But in those dark days, in those down times, and to share, you and I talk about this, you know, we've talked about it down through the years. We've learned how that process works. We go down, and we've learned not to resist the downtime. We don't regret the downtime. We don't regret the darkness. We don't regret the depression or the sadness, whatever it is that makes us go down. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
go down, I mean you pull back from your progress. As an entrepreneur, we're creators, we're supporters, we have clients and customers. We're always building and manifesting our ideas. Our downtime means something caused us to pull back. It may have been a thought or a belief or something got triggered from the past or a phone call or a person or an email, whatever it is that caused us to stop in our progress. We pull back, or something disappoints us, something we had our heart set in and it disappoints us and we pull back. Sometimes you could be doing great and all of a sudden your energy drops and you don't know why. You can't figure out why you feel that way and you find yourself pulling back and you're down for the count. We've learned not to fight it. I used to resist it. Like, I don't have time to be feeling bad. I don't have time to, feel negative or unworthy about myself. I don't have time to be disappointed. I have too much work to do. I have people depending on me. I have clients and customers that need the attractive thinker experience so that they can continue to move on with their lives. I don't have time. But I've learned that that time is purposeful. In that downtime, some things are being worked in you, some things are being released in you, some things are being healed in you. As attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, we're always acquiring information, we're always learning, we're lifetime learners, we're always pouring into and investing in ourselves. There comes a time in our lives where we have to step back and sit down so that that information can get in and take root. Just like your computer, when you're uploading a new program, it takes time. Sometimes you have to turn off certain applications that are running in the background in order for that program to take root, and then after the program is installed, you have to restart your computer. So those downtimes, this is a different perspective of your downtimes, are opportunities to restart. It's opportunities for all the information that you've gathered, all the experiences that you've had, all the things that you're going through. It's time for your spirit to process all of that. Your mind to process all of that, put things in their proper perspective, and then when you get up, you're stronger. Things are in place now. Your perspective is clear, your spirit is clear, your mind is clear, and you can move forward, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of what you've been through. I want you to capture this in your Attractive Thinker notebook because these are gems that will last you a lifetime. No matter where you find yourself in life, on this planet, or whatever experience you find yourself facing, these gems will support you in keeping the right perspective, healing through your growth process. Like you said earlier, Tisha, allowing, we have to get to the places we allow ourselves to grow. Allow ourselves to grow. And when we allow ourselves to grow, what that means is you can't admire what the growth produced and curse what it took to grow at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. You just can't do it. You can't say, oh, I'm so excited about where I am and I'm happy that I got through this and that and the other. I love the person that I am right now, and then turn around and hate the process. I'm regretful. I'm shameful. I'm embarrassed. I feel terrible about what I went through or what I had to go through or what I had to face or what people now know about me or what they saw me experience. You know, you got to come to grips with that and understand that you were giving birth to you. It's you giving birth to you. So, Tichette, I thought about some of the greats and the tremendous experiences that they had to go through. Now, we get to experience the fruit of what they were working on. But they had to experience all of the challenges. We have iPhones, we have telephones, we have TVs, we have cameras that I'm using right now that you can actually see me around the world. You can see beyond the break, Tichette and I around the world every week because of someone who took the time to go through their experiences so they could create something that would last more than a lifetime, that people could enjoy. So think about that. Heartbreak, defining moments, challenges, disappointments, they all have within them, like a seed, the power to transform us into greater versions of ourselves. And you say, well, why would I want to be a greater version of myself? So that I could experience more, life and it more abundantly, so I could experience more, so that I could experience more creativity, so new ideas would come to me. Aren't you tired of the old ideas? How many times have you looked back through your journals or your Attractive Thinker journal, notebook, and notes, and the goals that you used to have, you don't want those goals anymore? Even if you've never even reached them, you were like, I want bigger goals than that. How many times have you looked back on some of the things that you've written and desired, and you've outgrown them? That's the importance of honoring this growth process. You're not who you used to be. You're not who you're going to be yet, but thank God you're who you are now. You are different. You have grown. You are stronger. You're more clear. You have more boundaries set now. You're not just available to any and everybody. You do have new ideas, more creativity. You are more at peace and have more joy than you did before. See, all of this was a part of the growth experience. We never come out empty handed. Now, I wanted to point out some other things that sparked an interest with me to share while you were talking. Heartbreaking challenges and trauma and defining moments, they create growth. I thought about that when I was writing down these. The grace had painful past, but these experiences, there's trauma is like a seed, and if we take the time to not take it personal. I think that's what does us the most harm, is when we take our experiences personal, like a personal attack against us, an attack against our worth and our value, our deservedness, um, and an attack against our image, the image of ourselves, who we are, our identity. We can't go throughout life allow looking at all of our experiences as a personal attack because we're not worthy. Oh, this is happening because I wasn't good enough for that anyway, or that didn't work out because that goal was too high for me, or I wasn't supposed to live that kind of lifestyle anyway. The book deal didn't work out because maybe I'm not supposed to be an author anyway. Taking all of these experiences personal and not placing them in the proper category, in the proper perspective, understanding that they are called, like, this is me over here and my worthiness, and this is what I'm creating over here or experiencing over here, and it's called life. And I don't allow what I'm experiencing to define me or shift my identity or cause me to see myself any different than how I'm supposed to see myself, as fantastic and amazing. When you talked about the growth experience to shed, I wrote down, if it causes pain, it produces power, because you always said that. But I thought about the word power. Power to what? Nobody wants to go through pain for nothing. Power to what? Power to transform. It takes power to transform. It takes power to change your life. You need power to change. Change is difficult. And that's why it's important when we're connecting with other people, be it a business relationship or personal relationship, don't go in trying to change anybody, because it's hard enough to change ourselves. Choose,
Mhm.
I heard someone say one time, it was some type of TV show, I think, and it was an interview. They were interviewing the owner of a store, and he was talking about his customer responses. He's really big on customer service and things like that. And he said his customers, every now and then, they'll drop a survey, they'll fill it in, and they'll say things like, "Oh, the staff is so nice." They're so pleasant. Oh, the cashiers are so, pleasant to, to check out with, or whatever. And he says people think that we hire people and train them to be nice. He said, no, we hire nice people. That makes a big difference when
Mhm.
you come like that. And when I was talking about change and how difficult it is, for people to change, you don't want people that you have to change. You don't want experiences that you have to adjust. You don't want fruit or rewards or accomplishments that you have to change. Oh, I'm so grateful, I had the pair of shoes that I wanted, but it wasn't the color that I wanted. I reached the goal, but it wasn't in the environment that I wanted. Well, is that really reaching the goal? You don't want things that you have to make adjustments to. I used to do that when I would go shopping. I would scan the store. Number one, I scan the store for anything that stands out because I like rare and unique things. I don't like blacks and browns and darks and average and things that blend in. I like things that bling, you know. So I would go in the store and I would scan things, scan the environments and see what stands out. And sometimes I couldn't find what I was looking for, Tisha, but I found something similar. So while I'm looking at this thing that's similar to what I really wanted, my mind, it just went off on its own. I didn't even think. My mind is just showing me all these different ways on if I purchase this item, how I can make it what I want it to be. You know, because I'm a creative person. I'm a seamstress. I paint. I crochet. I do all kinds of things. And you do DIYs to shed. I'm really good with my hands, and I can make things work, and I can shape things into what I want them to be. But there comes a time in my life and in your life, whereas you want it to come the way you want it to come.
Absolutely.
You want it to come the way you want it. You don't want it to come and you got to tweak it and you have to sew it and staple it and tape it and twist it and turn it. You want it to come the way it is supposed to come.
Yes.
And that's growth. What I just expressed to the attractive thinker generation and the visual encouragers around the world, what you just heard me share was a growth process, the growth experience. Because I used to make purchases like that I had to adjust. And now I don't tolerate adjusting. I want what I want. I
Mhm.
want it like I want it because it takes time to adjust things. Now, being a creative person, I don't mind, creating some things and shaping them and making them what I want it to be. But when I really want something and I value my time and energy, I say I don't want to put the time and energy into transforming that thing into what I really want. I want what I want. I want it to come like I want it. Now, that growth experience that we're talking about, you grow into, that's another version of you. That's a stronger version of you. That's a more bolder version of you when you say, I want what I want. And you don't settle, and you don't tolerate, and you don't put up with, and you don't make do. See, there's a whole chapter in the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon that talks about the coping that we do when we settle for less than what we deserve. Sometimes you don't know that you're coping, but you've built a life. Everything around you is conditioned or shaped to cope with you not having what you really wanted. And you look around your environment, you say, well, do you like this? Somebody asks you, do you like this? Do you like that? Well, yeah, it's okay, or it's nice. And you realize you're coping with it because you didn't have enough faith to believe for what you really wanted. See, all of that growth experience supports you in being that bold person who will stand up and own the life that you want. And I was talking to Tichet recently, and I said, this journey is endless. There are endless versions of me. The work that we do inside is endless work. You're never going to finish discovering you and all that you're capable of accomplishing and doing and being. Who else could you be other than who you're being right now? Or are you willing to be this person until your day is done? That's something to consider. Is this all that I can be? Who else could I be? Or am I willing to just be this version of me all the days of my life? When there are endless versions of me. When you sit down and you think about it, it's like, well, who else could I be? Hmm. Who else could I be? You actually sit down and you think about that. And when you do that, it opens you up to other ideas and other options in this growth experience. So, Tishette, you asked me a question recently. What is it that I wish I knew during a heartbreak or defining moment? And some of the things that come to my mind was I wish I knew how life worked. I wish I knew that heartbreak was a part of my growth process. I wish I knew that heartbreak or defining moment or challenge was a part of my destiny moment, was a piece of it, was meaning if I had not gone through that, I could not get to where I wanted to go. That's what I'm trying to say. It was a vital part It was a part of the formula, a part of the plan. When you look at a table, it has a foundation, a platform, and it has four legs. I wish I knew that um, all four legs would stabilize me going forward. I had settled for just two legs. I wish I had known that I deserved all four. When you think about what is it that I wish I knew that my life experiences, there was more than just one side. Because most of the time we experience life, we experience the physical side. I wish I knew there was a spiritual side to the experience that I was looking at in such a physical way. I wish I knew that on the other side of I wish I knew that there was another side of this. I wish I knew that there was a other side. We talk about, whoa, when I get on the other side of this, I wish I knew there was a other side. I didn't know. I thought this was it. The experience that I was having, the heartbreak, the disappointment, the defining moment. I thought that's what my life was going to be. I didn't know that there was life beyond the break. So, what has to be in place in order to position yourself for growth to be the result of your defining moment? Or how do you position yourself so that growth is a result of your heartbreak? Because Tichet, people experience heartbreak and defining moments and challenges and trauma in life, and growth is not the result. So, how can I guarantee that growth is the result? How can I position myself um, to make sure that I grow through this experience and become a greater version of myself? One of the first thing that I wrote down to Shet was you have to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
While you're going through a defining moment or a heartbreak, it cannot shatter your identity, your self-identity. You cannot afford to throw who you are away just because something broke your heart. Because you can lose a lot of things in this life, but if you lose you, you've lost everything. And
Mm-hmm.
we all lose things in life. We lose our keys. We lose money. We lose the deal. We lose the investment. We lose the house. We lose the car. We lose family members. We lose a lot of things in this life. We lose opportunities. We miss out on opportunities. But those things are not as valuable as you losing you. So you have to put you as the priority. Going through a defining moment, you have to know who you are. When you know who you are, you know that this moment doesn't define me, meaning it doesn't shift my identity. I'm still fantastic and amazing. I'm still great. I'm still smart. I'm still beautiful. I'm still courageous. I'm still outgoing. I'm still prosperous. So you keep that perspective. Number two, believe that somehow beyond your intellect, something good is going to result from this, even though you can't see it, even though you don't know what it is. Even though you can't find it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I can't find anything good out of this, Dr. Toni. Well, how am I supposed to find something good from this? And then we sit and we sift through. We begin to sift through the rubble of the defining moment. We begin to sift through the rubble of the pain until we can find the good because it is there. Remember, light came out of darkness. Remember that. Number three, you have to remind yourself that you will smile again, you will have peace and joy again, and you will be on fire and create again. You want to remember those things. That's just three, and I'm sure that you can come up with your own perspectives and fortified beliefs about yourself when you're going through something, because those are foundational pieces that should not be shaken because you need them. When you're going through something, as long as your foundation isn't shaken or destroyed, you're going to make it. You're going to make it on the other side of what you're going through. And there is life beyond a break. And not only will you make it, you're going to be different over there. You're going to be a newer version over there, a brighter, better, creative, more powerful version of yourself, able to embrace and experience more of life. Back to you, Tisha.
the thing is we get to celebrate the growth experience
Mm-hmm.
from all that as well, getting to a point where we celebrate the growth experience. One of the things I was thinking while you were talking was sifting
Mm-hmm.
and shifting takes a hunger,
Mm.
because you have to be hungry for something more in order for you to sit there and sift through all your experiences, all your the
Mm-hmm.
things that happened, the things you've lost, the things you gained, the things you've learned, the things you felt like didn't go well, and the things you felt like did go well.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a hunger for something more for you to sit there and go through it, because like you said, we don't like to do everything for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We want something out of this. A lot of times, though, Dr. Toni, when people start assessing themselves and then they realize there is other side to this, then they have to go through the fear of stepping out in the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
because we're so used to it. Is possible to get used to the suffering. Like you said in one of your mastermind experience, you said it's possible to be addicted to suffering. I felt like at one point I was addicted to suffering because that's what I knew,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when you get addicted to suffering, no matter what happens, you find the suffering in it, and then you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, as far as the suffering, right? You get okay with having less and getting the crumbs of everything and begging for time and for respect and stuff like that, right? Because that's what you're used to. But when you go to the other side, somehow we think in our mind it's going to be more heartbreaking than what we've already experienced. Because if we're going to get excited and get our hopes up, and then all of a sudden it's going to crash. And that, who's to say the crash is a part of your experience going forward?
Mm-hmm.
What if the crash that you've already went through is the last crash you're going to experience? Right? Because once you establish who you are, what you are, why you are, your purpose and your power, you experience life differently. So the things that would have made you crash before might not make you crash now, because you know how to operate. You know what to do in certain circumstances and situations. So you're not cracking at every instance. You're not moved by every ounce of the wind. You know, your foundation is strong. Like you said, when you're building yourself and you have that firm foundation of who you are, you're not just moving along with the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Every time something blow, you're moving over here and then you're moving over there. You know, and let's talk about people for a second in relationship. When you go through the growth experience, one of the first things you're going to have to do is set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Is have a healthy set of boundaries, because these healthy set of boundaries will allow you the time to actually sit and sift through
Mm-hmm.
um, your experience, and then it'll allow you to assess what's going on, what you like, what you don't like, and it also allows you the time to get over other people's opinion, to get delivered from other people's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, you can just celebrate when you get delivered from other people's opinion, because now you're faced with your own opinion, and you're learning to be okay with being the only one to think a certain way, the only one to walk a certain place, the only one to stand in a certain manner. You're okay with being alone. You're okay with being by yourself, right? Because you sit with yourself, you get to know yourself, and then you realize there's more to you than what you knew. There's so much more to you. There's things about you has been staring you in your face the entire time. Like my DIY. You know, I didn't know that I was a DIY person, that I would have a passion for DIY. Yet when I think about me in my childhood, using my grandfather's good wood, I it was there the whole time. You know, and so the thing is my passion for DIY is making something that was good, great,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, here's the thing. When we talk about people, you can't change, like you said, Dr. Toni, you can't change people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to let people be who they showed you they are, and accept, whether or not you're going to accept it or not. You have to remember that your life is a series of acceptance of yes and no's.
Mm-hmm.
It's a series of yes and no. Will I have this? Yes. Will I not have this? No. Will I take part in this? Yes. Will I not take part in this? No. Now, of course, we have some situations that we didn't call for, didn't know was coming, hit us like a ton of bricks. We have those situations coming, but you still have a choice to how you respond to it
Mm-hmm.
when you know yourself. When you don't know yourself, you just respond any old kind of way, right? When you don't have the knowledge and the wisdom about what took place, you respond any old kind of way because you don't know. So again, you do the best you can with the given situation. Sometimes you might just cry because you don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you're in relationship with people and they show you who you are, you have a choice to accept it or to not accept it, right? But when it comes to other people, not accepting it means you need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot accept who they are, then don't sit there and keep changing the person, because potential doesn't mean nothing until it got some action behind it.
Mm-hmm.
A car has the potential to be great, but until some of the changes start being made on it, that car is what the car you see is the car you get. Now, here's the thing. We want people in our lives to come with it, right? We want them all to come with it. There are some certain things you must come with. One of the things is respect. I should not have to train another person to respect me, my beliefs, what I want to do. I should not have to train a person to allow me to speak and allow me to be me. I should not have to tell a person to respect me. Now, everybody's different. The way I want to be treated might not be the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have some responsibility in letting out the people in our lives know this is what we require. This is how we want to be treated. But how do you know if you didn't get to know yourself? So again, going back to the basics, knowing yourself will show you how to set boundaries and how to have people treat you. But one thing is for certain, you should not have to train somebody to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
You should not have to train somebody to let you speak your piece without feeling disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have a voice, I'm going to use it. You should not have to train somebody that your voice matters to. That's something that they have to learn on their own. They have to learn how to respect people in general first, and which they learn to respect themselves and then respect people. That's not something you should have to train somebody to do. You have to come with respect.
Mm-hmm.
It's not every trash is a treasure. Not every trash is a treasure. That's what one of the things I learned in DIY. Not everything, I don't take everything. I don't take everything just because I can turn it and make it into something. Because sometimes you go try turn something into stuff, you end up with a bunch of frustration and lost time. So some things do have to come with it. So when you are dealing with people, setting boundaries is necessary. When you're dealing with people, making sure your voice is being heard is necessary. When you're dealing with people, making sure you keep their opinion at a certain level is necessary. Just because they spoke their opinion doesn't mean that that has to become your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think like they think, talk like they talk. They don't have to think like you think and talk like you talk. If it fits, it'll go together. Just like how you see with us going back and forth, it just fits. I don't have to make her believe what I believe. She don't make me believe what she believes. We talk and we assess and like, you know what, you said something. This was true. And then we just go in. We don't interrupt each other. We just talk. We have a respectful conversation about what we learn in life beyond the break. That's what we're doing here. So when you have a conversation with anybody, what should be there, the basis is boundaries and respect,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost. And then you learn after that. You grow after that. Another thing, Dr. Toni, we were talking about, you said trauma is the seed.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about seeds and birth and giving birth and all that stuff all the time on this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But trauma holds a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you have to unpack that. But in order to unpack that, you have to allow the image of that trauma to crack first. You have to allow yourself to be willing to see what's in you, right? Because if you're going through a seed process, you're going through, when you get down in that ground where you think you should be going up, sometimes you go down first and you don't realize you're being grounded. You don't realize you're just being rooted. So you can't judge whether or not you grew up first as a seed after the seed cracked versus you went down. So if you going down, you have to know, okay, I'm being rooted. These are things to hold on to when you're hungry enough for growth.
Mm-hmm.
These are things to hold on to. If you feel like you're going down, you're being set back, perhaps thinking that this is something that will help foundationally,
Mm.
something that will help me be rooted, make sure that I'm grounded. This might be the situation that helped me become grounded, because sometimes you know what you don't, you find out what you want when you know what you don't want.
Yes.
You might find out who you are when you find out who you are not,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can build from there. So if you don't know who you are, start off with what you who you are not, and let those things go, and then start experiencing yourself, by assessing your energy. So you're looking at your energy with every situation and whatever moments you have throughout the day. You're assessing your energy. Did your energy go up or did it go down? If your energy went up in something and you go, explore that. Why did that bring it up? What did that say to you? What did that mean to you? Explore that. Don't just move past that. That's like the way I said with the eating. You just get it, chew it 2 times, and let it go to your stomach. Let's not do that with life. Let's put it in, chew it, breathe, let the aroma take place of life, get all the nutrients out of it, so that it you allow yourself an experience to live,
Mm.
right? That's what we want. That's what we want power for too, Dr. Toni. We also want power to live,
Mm-hmm.
because it takes power to live, to be alive. Just think about, if we're energy, when you think about light, it takes power to be lit.
Mm. Mm.
And that's really what we're looking for. We're all looking for the ability to feel alive. A lot of us are bored. A lot of us are tired. We don't feel alive enough. Things are not moving. And that's the thing. We have to get things moving. We have to have power to move, to shift, to shake, to turn on. We want to feel turned on. This is why you're in relationships with people, because when you're having conversation and you are um, experiencing each other, it's you're turned on. But then when you don't like something, you are turned off. And that's what we want to be. We should be turned on about our human experience. We should be turned on about our growth experience. It might have not have been the best comment now, but now that you have a bigger perspective and a bigger picture, your growth experience should be such a turn on for yourself.
Mm.
Meaning, I like what I have become.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Even though I had to go through all that, I like what I become. And the thing about that, and here we talk about the birthing experience as well. When you are regretting what you went through in the birthing experience, you're taking your eye off your baby,
Mm.
right? Because you're not thinking two things at one time. So it would be like looking at your child growing healthy. Let's say your child is 5 years old and they're learning to talk and walk, and all you could think about was that one contraction. That's how I feel, is to regret the birthing process. You
Mm-hmm.
think about that one contraction that just almost took you out. You think about them stitches. You think about all that stuff that you go through, the morning sickness, the mood swings, you think about the food aversions. You're thinking about all of that is taken away from you enjoying the fact that your baby can now talk and walk.
Mm-hmm.
That you did all of that. You went through all of that so that your baby, which is really you, the real essence of you, Your business, your passion, your purpose, your power, your talents, your gift, all of those things you give birth to all in one, because you're giving birth to a you system.
Mm.
It's just not just, I just have a personality. There's a whole system that
Mm.
comes with you.
Yes.
And that system we have to take care of a certain way so that we can let that system work how it's supposed to work. You change your outer world once you understand your inner workings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you understand the system within, it changes out. And so there are certain things we have to have in place with every interaction, every experience. When you go somewhere, what does your energy say? Do you regret being there? And if you regret being there, then your spirit is saying, maybe I shouldn't do as much of that. And then why do you feel like you have to is the bigger question. If you say, well, I have to do it because I have to make money, is that the only way to make money? Do you think perhaps you can make more money doing something you really love? Do you think that your gift will make room for you or no? Do you believe that operating in your power will make a way for you?
Mm.
Will open doors for you? I've seen people leave six-figure businesses to become millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember before I had a greater perspective, I'd be like, oh, six figures, I would just be happy to make that.
Mm.
Until I made six figures and then I was miserable.
Mm.
And that's when I realized money does not buy you happiness. It does not make you feel alive. It is artificial.
Mm.
And you have to keep spending in order to keep feeling alive.
Mm.
Because you get excited about something new. You get a new car and it's exciting all about a month. And then you get used to it. And then you start thinking about what the car needs. And maybe it should just have this. I should have just got that. Then you get a house and you feel all excited. And in about a year, when you get used to it, you got to buy more stuff in the house to feel any type of stimulation. But when you get to know you and you access the why you are, the what you are, and the essence of you, you feel alive at any given moment. Nothing needed to be added.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. You don't have to add another thing to me. I'm going to be lit by myself. I am the party.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think like that. I'm alive regardless of who's with me and who's not with me, who's for me and who's against me, regardless of what I have or have not. It does not matter. It does not matter where you are. I'm alive no matter what because the stimulation came from my growth experience. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Oh, it's so much in that what you shared to share. But attractive thinkers, what I want you to get from this visual encouragers, I want you to capture these gems and ponder them. I want you to assess them and think about them and see where you fit in these. Because Tishet, you said something when going through the growth experience, you have to first have these in place. And I was taking notes. You said set boundaries. That's number one. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers. Write that down in your attractive thinker notebook. Set boundaries. Number two, get delivered from other people's opinions. Number three, you can't change people. Just decide whether you want to deal with it or not. You can't change people. You have to decide if you want to deal with this person or that person or whatever. Um, if you can't accept who they are, move on. That's what you said. So you also said I should not have to train a person to respect me. See, that's settling. I'll settle for this person and then I'll just train them to love me. That's not how this works. That's not authentic. Number four, make sure your voice is being heard. You talked about, setting boundaries and having respect and things like that. And I wrote down a number five. It takes power to be lit.
Mm-hmm.
And if it takes power, I mean, think about being in a room, your cell phone just died, and there are no outlets.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you going to do? How are you going to recharge and light that cell phone, energize that cell phone where there are no outlets? So, I looked at that as people. How am I going to stay lit to shed if I'm around people that aren't on fire? How are they going
Mm.
to light my fire? I remember as a little girl being out with my father sometimes, and we'd be out and I'll see guys huddled around the corners, huddled around on corners. They'd be smoking and drinking, whatever they do. And I would see them. It was very commonplace to hear someone say, "Hey man, you got a light?" And he would put his cigarette up to the guy's lighter or his cigarette up to the guy's cigarette, and he would get a light. How am I going to light my fire and get a light for myself when I'm around people that don't have lights? They're not on fire. They're not inspired. They're not creative. They're not positive. So, how am I going to stay positive around negative people? How am I going to keep my fire? My father called me, I'll say maybe last week. He says, in the conversation, he says, Toni, you are the type of person you have to stay around people that keep you on fire, that keep you inspired. And that's what I'm sharing with you, attractive thinker and visual encourager. You can't afford to settle for people, places, and things, and even thoughts that don't light your fire.
Mm.
I want you to think about that. We gave you a lot of content today, and this is a fantastic and amazing conversation. Tichet, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with the attractive thinkers and visual encouragers around the world, our Beyond the Break family. Tell our audience how they can stay in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. Be alive, everybody. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, I want you to remember to grab your copy of the Attractive Thinker Experience on Amazon. This 726-page transformational experience will support you in living life beyond the break, keeping your fire lit, staying mentally strong, supporting mentally healing while you're going through the growth experience. Visit our website at theattractivethinker.guru and grab your freebies there also. We have some really fantastic audios that you can listen to and some assignments attached to them. You check your email. You're going to get an email, one email a day for 5 days, just to really help you get the clarity that you need going forward as a new or aspiring entrepreneur. You always hear us say our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.